she's made in her campaign. It appears that she has fully flip-flopped on immigration, and one of our own producers remarked that one of her latest ads on the border may as well come from the Republicans. Let's take a listen.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as
Wait a minute. She backed the toughest border control measure in decades? So it's not just rhetoric. She's actually making a 180-degree towards where these people would like her to be. They say she's soft on the border. Now she's generally getting to be a border hawk. And this is a bad thing. How?
She will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Now, she approves the message, Crystal. I mean, this is got to be one of the biggest about faces that we have seen yet from Kamala. On the record, her campaign has disavowed now her positions. What is it? On fracking, on immigration, on healthcare. Am I missing anything in terms of the major disavowals? I mean, but those are the big ones.
Pretty much everything she said in 2020
minimum
context of the
wage,
2020 primary.
I mean, I could be wrong.
She's run away from. Yeah, I mean, listen, she's not wrong that they did pursue actually a quite hawkish, by Democratic standards, policy on the border and tried to pass that bill that had a lot of the Republican wish list priorities, etc. But, you know, as I've been saying, Sagar, like, I don't think that this is the most effective messaging because I don't think it's particularly credible.
It's literally not credible.
If you're leaning this.
So being soft on the border when she ran in. What exactly does he mean by not credible? And it's interesting that he doesn't clarify what he means by that. I mean, she was softer on the border before. Things got out of control in the border. Then she got hawkish, and not just by rhetoric. She actually voted for a bill to be more aggressive on securing the border. And that makes her not credible? What? The conditions at the border changed. Public pressure changed. She then changes to go with the public pressure. She takes action based on what the people are demanding. And now she's running on that, and that makes her not credible? So you're saying if she wins, and the pressure continues to be that we need more border security, she won't continue to do what she's been doing, which is going with the movement, following where the wind blows? I mean, unless you're suggesting that all of a sudden people are going to be like, don't worry about the border, then why would she not continue to do what she's been doing, which is going with the wind? And the wind's right now going towards more border security.
This ad right here just seeds the ground to the Republican view of immigration, in which the only focus needs to be cracking down, in which immigration is always bad, and there's nothing on the other side. We also, you know, to your point, and I'll get to what I think would be more effective and what the sort of polling and data suggests would be more effective than this just like, I'll be as tough as Donald Trump, if not even more. It also really does contrast with the way she used to talk about the issue not so long ago. Let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
To somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal. Being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. When we talk about the immigration debate, I think there is no question that there are powerful forces, including this president, that are attempting to vilify immigrants because they were born in another country and suggest that they are therefore any different in terms of their fundamental values or beliefs or priorities. And I think all of us as Americans.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is what you call Kamala derangement syndrome. That's exactly what that is. Kamala derangement syndrome. This is a prime example of, I think, perhaps what you call audience capture, because it seems that they're so focused on the very profitable narrative of just going against Kamala, just to go against Kamala, calling her out. You know, mainstream media is all, Kamala's so great and look at the crowds. And then you're going to be the contrarian to be like, the mainstream media, they're a failure and they're not admitting, how much of a flip-flopper and a fake she is. That's not really how you do it. And I'm going to explain why. So first of all, I think that Kamala is in fact very fake. I think she kind of goes with the wind. And I think that actually might be a great thing. Because unlike Joe Biden, for example, when Joe Biden was determined on pulling out of Afghanistan, he had a tremendous amount of pressure. He ignored it all. His mind was set. He's getting out of Afghanistan, so he got out of Afghanistan. It's no real appealing to him when he's got his mind set. He's got his mind set on Israel. People have been trying to appeal to him in Israel, trying to tell him, we need to get peace and all this kind of stuff. And he's not hearing it, man. He's like, he's unmovable, right? Kamala, on the other hand, is movable. And ironically, people are so caught up in the, Kamala derangement syndrome that they don't even recognize a good thing right? I mean, if you think that Kamala was too soft on the border, right? She's too soft on the border. She's too soft on the border. Open borders, right? And then she goes and votes for. So it's not rhetoric. This is actions. Votes for one of the most aggressive, border protection bills, in I think they said decades. And this is what they played in the beginning of the video. So they played it in the beginning of the video, proof that she had this hawkish position from much earlier than this current campaign. So it's not like she's just for the campaign she's doing this, which to a casual viewer of Breaking Points, they might think that's what's being said or that might be the case. But the reality is, in the very beginning of the video, they provided proof that this is not a new position for her. Yes, if you want to go way back to 2020, before the border was as out of control as it is now, and you want to be caught up in the Kamala derangement syndrome, they just focus on that and you say, she was soft on the border in 2020 and now 2024, as the border is surging out of control, now she wants to get hawkish. First of all, it's not again now. She's done it before. The bill that was months ago. And also, if you are really concerned about the border and you are upset with her for being soft on the border, how can you be upset that now she wants to be hawkish on the border? I mean, flip-flopping is only a bad thing when it's flopping away from you, right? If someone's flip-flopping towards what you want, don't you be happy? Shouldn't it be like, this is great. I'm glad that she has changed her position to the correct position. I mean, that's what, I can't pronounce his name, Sagar or whatever. That's what he would say, right? The correct position is to be hawkish on the border. So now she's flip-flopped to hawkish on the border, and he's going to critique her on that. I guarantee you, if she did not do this, if she was still talking about open borders, then he would be saying, oh, she's soft on the border and this is insanity. Look at all the people coming in the border and she's talking about, illegal immigrants aren't criminals, blah, 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 right? But now that she switches to hawkish, and not just rhetoric, again, voted for the bill, right? It was Trump that blocked it, right? And I'm sure, Sagar is more upset about Kamala moving towards being hawkish than she is about Trump blocking the hawkish and keeping us in the open borders realm, right? I don't think he was upset about that, right? But he's upset about Kamala going in the direction that he wants. So in other words, that's why I say Kamala derangement syndrome, because she can't win with this guy, right? If she's soft on the border, she's soft on the borders. She's a moron. Doesn't she see what's happening? She's pandering to the far left and their open border stuff, and it's fine and let everybody in, right? She goes hawkish. Oh, she flip flopped. I thought she was soft. Like, you know what I mean? There's no winning. There's no winning. So that means that Sagar is not giving a good faith critique of Kamala Harris. He's just exhibiting Kamala derangement syndrome. It's very clear. Pretty sure that no matter what she does, he's gonna have a problem with it. Listen, man. The fact that Kamala just goes with the wind and is a flip-flopper is an excellent thing, because that means that she's the perfect Democratic candidate, right? The way democracy is supposed to work is, unlike with Joe Biden, public appeal is supposed to be reflected by the people we elect. They are elected to enact the things that the people that voted for them want, right? They're not elected to be, doing what the donors want. They're there to do what the voters want, right? And if she's going to go with the trends, that means if the trends are we need more border security, guess what Kamala's going to do, right? If the trend becomes that people are like, open borders, let everybody in, then that's what she'll do. I guess that's what she was doing before. But the other thing about it is, again, I think it's a little bit disingenuous to, I don't like Kamala. I think she's fake. I think she goes with the wind, right? So I'm not a Kamala defender at all, right? I would much rather have Joe Biden versus Trump. And Kamala, oh my goodness, much rather her than Biden, and absolutely than Trump, right? But the fact is, I don't have a lot of faith in her, right? But the thing about it is, did she flip-flop or did the situation flip-flop? In 2020, was the border in the condition that it is now? I mean, the situation was very different then, right? So what kind of politician has the same position when the border is at one level as they are when it's at a completely different level? Right? So we have a problem at the border, and then it goes crazy out of control, and then she's supposed to be still talking like it's 2020, even though it's 2024, a very different environment. Again, you could, if you're Kamala derangement syndrome, you only look at it from one perspective, and that's she's fake and she doesn't do that, which is true, right? But if you think a little bit deeper, you say, hey man, I can't hold her to 2020 rhetoric because it's not 2020, it's 2024, right? Is an open borders kind of very passive strategy, does that work in 2024? I think Sagar would say no. So then what's the problem? If you want to get mad, well, not for Sagar, but this is more for Crystal. If Crystal wants to get mad, you know who to get mad at? Get mad at the left. Here you have a candidate that has a good chance of winning, who is very moldable and goes with the wind, but yet the right wing has a 900-page plan for revolution. Meanwhile, what does the left have? Absolutely nothing. The biggest thing we have is a few random people go to her rallies and say peace in Gaza or whatever nonsense. I say nonsense because simply going to a rally and saying peace in Gaza, that does nothing, right? If you want to actually do something, then you need to be strategic. There needs to be demands made. For example, we're not going to just vote for you. You need to promise us that you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And we need to let you know, if you agree to these things and you don't give it your all to make these things happen, we are going to politically punish you big time. You will be a one-term president, and down ballot is going to suffer big time because we're looking at it as a betrayal. We have this large voting block of many, many people that we've organized. They're motivated, they're energized, they're ready to support you to get over the line. But only if you promise these things, and only if you make your best effort to deliver as much as you can, right? Because it's not about either you do everything or you fail. We just want the person to actually fight for the things that they ran on, not run on these things to get elected and don't do anything. That's the thing. The left should be aware of how this game works. So rather than focusing on the Kamala derangement syndrome, focus on strategy, focus on tactics, focus on seizing the moment. You have an outstanding opportunity to make a lot of things happen that you guys claim to care about. But rather than organizing and having some kind of strategy put together, it's just either everyone is kind of caught up in this wind and energy and like, oh, this is so cool and exciting and we can get rid of Trump, and forgetting that she's most likely not going to do the things she says, and also that there's a door opening of opportunity for you to accomplish things you care about. So let's get to work, right? You want to get upset? Get upset at the left for failing yet again. They've been asleep ever since Joe Biden won, and they continue to be asleep. So we're right now trending towards Kamala winning based on progressive rhetoric. And then as soon as she gets in office, we don't hear anything about it. And it's, oh, give her time. And, it's only been 6 months. It's only been a year. It's only been 2 years. It's only been 3 years. And then it's kind of like, guys, this is the final year of the term. What has gotten done? And I'd be like, well, we can't be negative. It's not about being negative, man. It's about using your brain and having memory of how these things work and adjusting your strategy based on what you've learned. But apparently the left has learned nothing. And apparently Breaking Points is captured by the audience, perhaps. Or they're really so in their bubbles that their brains have rot to some degree. Hence, Kamala can't win on Breaking Points. And many other shows, especially the far left shows, who are all attacking her just like the right-wing media. Very interesting dynamic with the left. Pretty much a clown show. Right-wing clown show, for sure, but the left has their own clown show going as well, even though it's not as bad as the right, but very unserious. This is the Debate Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.